Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be looking into how we can utilize Andrej Karpathy's idea of building an LLM wiki or a notebook or a knowledge base. Call it whatever you want. Now, for those who do not know who Andrej Karpathy is, he's a pioneer in AI research and his resume is quite impressive. So he was a key founding member of the OpenAI research lab. And if I just go through his resume, which I can scroll down below, he worked as a director of artificial intelligence and autopilot vision in Tesla. He worked in Eureka Labs in 2024, and right now he has officially joined the pre-training team at Anthropic. So this idea stems from him, and all due courtesies and thanks to him. Okay, so let's get right into it. Now this is the GitHub gist page of the idea of LLM Wiki. So you can see it's under Karpathy's own name, Andrej Karpathy. And what it says is this can be used as a pattern for building personal knowledge bases using LLMs, and it goes on to explain the core idea. I will be linking this in the video description below, so do check this out at your leisure, right? And this is what we'll be using to build a prompt or skill for the AI agent, essentially. I'm not going to go read through all of this, but essentially the core concept is that you build your own personal notebook or knowledge bases. You can put in documents or code or whatever you essentially wanted, right? You could put in daily journal notes, for example, or your study documents, and create a knowledge base which then the LLM can crawl and add, redact, and so on, so forth. And this essentially gives guidelines on how you can, or how the AI agent can set up that wiki structure or that knowledge base structure for you. Okay, if you're just interested, this is his post on knowledge bases, which is you can find in X there. I'll be again linking this in the video description below, and he does recommend using Obsidian as the IDE front end. So you can see it right here, right, where I can view the raw data, the compiled wiki, and the derived visualizations. Now this step is entirely optional. I will be using this though, right? So I'll be using this, and a cool thing about this wiki is that this is AI neutral. Essentially, you can run it with any AI agent you choose, be it Claude, be it Gemini, or the latest iteration of Gemini, which is anti-gravity, or Aggie as they call it, Codex. It would work with everything. So it is AI agnostic. Now, as I mentioned, this Obsidian setup is entirely optional, but I highly recommend that you do it because it gives you a cool visual representation of your knowledge base there, right? So go to this page, which I'll be linking in the video description below, and you just click on Get Obsidian. Since I am on a Windows OS, it defaults for this configuration. If you want it for Mac or OS, you could just click it for more options there, and it would take you to this page where you could have it for Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, right? And another cool thing you could also have is a web clipper, which essentially allows you to take web clippings out of web pages, otherwise which you would have to download the whole web page, you would have to convert it into PDFs. It avoids the whole hassles there. So this is again something that I highly recommend that you do. So just get that extension there. So since I'm on Edge, it takes me to this page here, and I just need to install it. Since I already have it, it gives me an option of remove. For you, it would be install. Now, when you launch Obsidian for the very first time, it will ask you to create a vault. You can think of a vault as a place where you store all your documents. So whatever you want, you dump it there, and that is what we'll be using to create our LLM wiki there. So just give it a vault name and pick a location where you want your vault to reside. As you can see, I already have created a couple of walls. So let's go ahead and create a new one. I'll just call this demo, and I'll just go there and I'll just put, yeah, I'll select this folder and I'll say create. And right now you can see that it is a blank page, right? Just have as a welcome note. And on the left hand side, let me just drop this a bit. Yeah, so you can see what is going on, right? You have your graph view, you have your create new canvas, you can create a daily notes if you wanted, you can insert a template, you have a command palette, which we'll talk about later, and then you have create new base. But these are things you can play around later. You need not worry about any of these right now. All you would be concerned right now is this thing, which is the open your graph view. So if you open your graph view, it just has one welcome page. It does not have anything else, right? So if you click on this, you could create a link, and you could do this manually. You could manually add in your notes, but that is not what we are going to do. We are just going to create a wiki out of notes we already have. But the idea here is that you can append or edit or delete notes there, right? And you get the idea. Now, if you wanted to enable a terminal within Obsidian, you would have to enable your community plugin. So you click on this clear gear symbol that you see beside your vault name right here. It will bring you up to this page. Select community plugins there, and then just say turn on community plugins. And now you can browse for whatever you want. So if you search for something like terminal, right, it brings you up with quite a few options there. Just go through them. This is the one that I use, so I just do here open in terminal, and that's essentially it. So let's click on install, and I'll just do an enable here, right? And that should be it. Now if I close this, I should be able to see this right here. And you can see you have again a settings option specifically for this plugin. It's open internal. So if you just scroll down, you can enable or disable certain modes. So I'll just say, yeah, enable it for Claude, enable it for Codex, Gemini CLI. These are the three things that I use normally. I could also say, if I wanted, I could just enable git commands pull, commit, and push, which I'm not going to do. I could use WSL for commands, which again I'm not going to do, right? And if I close this, that's it. Now, one thing that you should remember is that this plugin, or whatever plugin you install through community plugins, is specific to that vault, which means that it will not be available for other vaults. If you want it for other vaults, you would need to go and install it again for that vault there, right? And if you wanted to create another vault, the way you do it is you relaunch Obsidian after creating a vault. You will not see that screen where it prompts you to create a vault. It will by default open in the last vault that you used, right? So I have 2-3 vaults now here. I could select these vaults, and if I wanted to create a new vault, I need to create the scroll button on the vault there, this up and down arrow. And if I create on manage vaults, it will open that vault configuration page. And this is how you create a new vault. Now, before I go on further, one thing that I forgot to mention is that Obsidian is completely free. It does not even ask you to log in. Though if you did log in, it gives you a few other added benefits like cloud storage, I believe, but you essentially don't need to do any of that. There's no need for you to even log in. Okay. Now, how do we use this terminal plugin? As you can see, it's not that obvious or intuitive. What you need to do is you need to open the command palette there, and if you scroll down, right, you should be now seeing all those enabled commands or options that we had in the terminal plugin, which is open in Claude Code, open in Gemini. So I could just say open in Gemini, and it would directly open Gemini in your vault there. Now, many of you might be wondering why I am using Gemini CLI and not anti-gravity, since Gemini CLI is nearing its shelf life, I believe by June 18th, which is pretty soon. The reason is quite simple. I love Gemini for one. I mean, it gives me quite a few options, and from what I've seen of anti-gravity CLI or Agile, it still seems to be in the beta mode, so it's still catching up there. So once we get there, I will port over to anti-gravity. So till the time Gemini is there, I'll continue using that. Okay. Now, as I mentioned towards the beginning of this video, this LLM Wiki is AI neutral, so you could use any AI agent you wanted to use it with. I've seen it works spectacularly well with Claude. The reason I use Gemini for my personal uses, it's more economical. That's all. So if you have Claude, more power to you. If you have Codex, your poison of choice. Okay, so just go for whatever terminal or AI agent you want to choose there. Okay, now let's go on and see how we can set up the wiki. Now, if you're using Gemini CLI or anti-gravity, you could just install this Obsidian extension, because this extension works both with Gemini CLI and with anti-gravity. And what you could just do here is you could just do a search for Obsidian and just select any extension that suits your taste. I personally use to Instinct /Gemini -Obsidian. I find this pretty useful. So your choice. Just install any extension you want. Now this is purely optional. Even if you did not install an extension, it would still work. And the way to install it is you just click on this and it would show you a command, right? So it would take you to the GitHub repo, and you just copy paste this command and run it in your command prompt. As simple as that. Now, there are at least two ways in which you can create your LLM wiki. So the first method, which is more direct but which is more local in the sense that it's more project specific, is that you just copy this entire gist page from Andrej Karpathy. So just go to this page, which is linked in the video description below, and just copy this entire page. Okay, right up to the note which says this document is intentionally abstract. Okay, just copy this entire thing. Come to your Gemini terminal which you have opened within your vault, right, and paste that. Right, so you see you have pasted that 63 lines, and then you paste an additional prompt specifying what you wanted to do with what you pasted. So you could say, you are my LLM wiki agent, implement this provided idea as my second brain, provide step-by-step guidelines, create the Gemini.md schema file with full rules, set up index.md, log.md, define folder conventions, follow this for every interaction, read all of this and build me a structured wiki organized by concept. For each major concept, write a standalone article that explains the concept, summarizes it, notes where the sources agree, specifically flags where they disagree and why, links to related articles within the wiki. Also create an index.md file that lists every article in the wiki with a one-liner description. Write everything so, and you give a heading there so it can understand it. Now this is something that I copied from the net. This is not that I created. So there are a lot of prompts available. Just if you have the patience, just go through, suit whatever prompts best suits you. This suits me well enough. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, and again I'll just paste this and I'll just hit enter. And you have to be patient while building a wiki. What I've learned is you absolutely must be patient. even building the initial structure takes time. When you ingest, say, a large number of documents, that takes time, but the wait is worth it at the end. So let us be patient. And this took, I think, 3 to 4 minutes there. And at the end, you can see it says, I have successfully initialized your LLM wiki. It has created a raw directory. It has created a concepts directory. It has created an entities directory there, right? So if you go into your vault now, Obsidian vault, you can see those directories. You can see the log, the index, which pretty much does not have much in it, right? Just the index, wiki architecture, and the raw index, okay, which just has one file which mentions the wiki pattern there. And this is the directory where you will be dropping your source files. So whatever you want, you just drop it into this directory right here and ask your LLM agent to ingest it. So that was one method that we saw, right? Now if you wanted to reuse this prompt for, say, multiple vaults, which obviously you will want to do, it can be tiresome trying to create this, copy pasting this prompt, though easy, right? But it can be tiresome doing it again and again. And that's why you have something called skills. So if you're not aware of skills, it essentially is an extended prompt that you can reuse. You can use it in Claude, you can use it in Codex, you can use it in Gemini. So all of these provide you with the skills. And all you need to do is to just ask Gemini here, for example, and if you're using Claude, the same thing. Just say create a skill named, let's say, second brain. Okay, let's create a skill named second brain, or you could use deep brain. Let's use Deborah. Okay, Deborah, deep brain, Deborah in. Okay, let's secure with Deborah. Since I've already created something called Deborah, I'll just say that Deborah 2, create a skill name based on the above prompts for creating a LLM wiki. You can give it whatever name you wanted. And you can say, yep, it's loading in the skill creator. It has initialized deep brain 2. So this will not take much time, as you can see. So it just says I created the deep brain -2. It did not accept the underscore. I think it has something to do with the syntax there. But anyway, it created something called deep brain -2. And it says this is the location and the knowledge base is like this. The triggers are this. Would you like to install this skill? If you wanted, you could make some amendments. I'll just say yes, please install this skill. Okay. And now it asks, where do you want it only in this workspace, or do you want it for, say, all users? I'll say user scope, since I want to reuse this each time, this skill. Yeah, so tab, I'll do yes. And it says I need to reload the skill. So if I do a reload, not a reload, sorry, it should be skills reload, right? And now if I do something, you can see I have something called deep brain 2. I already had deep brain, which I created earlier. So this is a new skill, exactly the same. Now, if you wanted to see the actual directory structure, what you could do is you could just go into your skills folder. Yeah, so it usually is in your root user folder .gemini. You can find the skills, and if you go into deep brain 2, you can see the skill.md file, the references directory, the assets directory it has. So the assets directory has the gemini.md, the index.md, and so on. Now I would be using skills because it's more convenient and it's much easier. So each time I just wanted to do something with my wiki or even create a new wiki, I just need to go into my Gemini command prompt or whichever command prompt I'm using for my preferred AI agent, and I just type in / deep brain, whatever name I gave it, right? And it would load that skill, it would create that wiki, it would update that wiki, it would give me the options, makes life much more easier. What I've also done is I've deleted Deep Brain 2 because it's an identical screen. I've already created Deep Brain and I'll be using Deep Brain for this demo. Okay. Let us quickly now try to load some raw data into our raw folder. So I am on the Claude's official blog, and I'll just open some random pages here because this is just for demo purpose. This seems to be interesting, using LLMs to secure source code. Yeah, there's quite a few details here. Find and fix loop. So let's just add it to our raw folder within our vault. I'll be using the Obsidian's web clipper extension, which we installed earlier. So I'll just go to here, Obsidian web clipper, and I'll just change this to raw from clippings, and I'll just say add to Obsidian. You could also default it to the raw folder within your vault using the settings button here, which I'll allow you to play later. Okay, play with later. Here anyway, I'm just going to use I'm hard coding it as raw. Now remember, if you have multiple vaults, make sure you close the others that are not relevant to this particular knowledge base or wiki. Okay, just open that vault into which you want your clipping to go into. And this is where we want our clipping to go into the raw folder within our demo vault. So I'll just say add to Obsidian, and now you can see this has been added to Obsidian, right? So it has added into nice markup thing. It has given this link there, which is brilliant. Let us now go to a second page. How Claude Code works in large code bases best practices seems to be promising. So what, I'll just add this as well to the web clipper, and I'll just say raw. Yes, this also has been added. And the last one I'll just do is best practices for compute browsing. Yep, I'll do this as well. Just say same thing, and you can see all these three things have been added into our raw folder automatically. I'll also add in a PDF file, so let me just find that and add it here. I just dropped in a PDF card which I downloaded from the Claude's website for Opus 4.8 now, right? So I have 3-4 files. Now remember, normal cases you would have huge number of files which would take a long time. So this is just for demos. I'm keeping the knowledge base small and concise. Now let's build this knowledge base. Remember, we have just ingested the raw files. We have not yet created the wiki. So our index and things actually do not know that these raw files are there. We have to trigger building of the wiki. Right? We have to tell the LLM agent, go ahead and build that wiki. Let's do that. So I'm back on my Gemini CLI there, and what I'll now do is just I could just say deep brain, right? We will load that skill there. Okay, if we do not want to do it this way, right? And if I loaded the skill, I could just say please ingest, right? As simple as that. Or I could just say wiki, okay, and I could just say ingest files. That should do it. So you have a couple of options going on there. This should automatically trigger the deep brain skill, And you can see, yes, the deep brain has been loaded because the wiki or the knowledge base LLM, these are the trigger words for loading that. Do not worry about this get child items. Just read those files. You can see this working, right? So there's no need for you to specifically load that skill. Even if you just provide those correct trigger words, it will automatically load that skill and it will build that wiki for you. I expect this will take more than 3 to 4 minutes. And if your source folder, I mean your raw folder, is huge, expect to spend at least anywhere between 30 minutes to a couple of hours for everything to be ingested, purely based on your size. Yes, it's saying, yeah, I created some notes. Seems good. You can provide it with suggestions if you want it. And it took hardly, I think, 2 to 3 minutes, and it's all done. So you can see I've completed the ingestion of the source files from the raw directory into your LLM wiki, and it has just done all of these things, and it has updated its task list, which is quite cool. Now, if I look into index, you'll notice it has quite a few entries. So I could just do LLM wiki there. It says what which we already saw, the wiki architecture, wiki operations, computer use. Yes, best practices, so 4.7. Now remember, based on your AI agent, what you might be seeing here is different. Even the markdown file, so if you look into your concepts there, right, this actual entries will differ. It does not have a one-to-one relationships with what you put into your raw folder. So it would break that up and it would actually try to organize it into different concepts there. So do not expect a one-to-one mapping. And also based on your AI agent, the structure might look a little different there. But anyway, you get the idea here. So you have different concepts going on here. Your entities is just anthropic. It has recognized that we had just supplied it with anthropic data, and this is the raw data that you actually provided it with. Right? And your index that we already saw, you could just click and you could just directly go into that file which you wanted. Now let's have a look into the graph. So if you click on this icon on the left hand side, open graph view, this will give you a nice looking sort of graph view where you have your interconnected nodes. So this is a skill, so LLM wiki pattern, and you have your index file. Yes, again index file, which is your center node. It connects to Cloud Code Harness, your wiki architecture, computer use, LLM security. If you just click on any node, it will directly take you to that particular file within concepts, right? How cool is that? Again, if you wanted to play along with this graph structure, you could just go into open graph settings and you could just click on display. If you wanted to see the direction of flow, just click on arrows. Now you can see arrows has been enabled. You can see that from computer use, you have something called best practices going on there, right? The skill is mapped to index, it's mapped to LLM, wiki pattern, Gemini. You can see the direction of flow of these documents, how they are interconnected, which depends on what you wanted. You could animate it, so you could see how this graph is getting built. Just some fireworks there, but it looks brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, right? You still have other options which I'm not going to go through. This is your time lapse animation. Okay, that's which again just launches the animation there. You can just play along, play with it in your free time there. Now let us try querying this, right? So you have a couple of options to query it. You could just say wiki query, right? And you could just ask it something like how to ensure proper scaling for Claude. Let's see what it comes up with. What I'm expecting it to do is to query the wiki, since I have explicitly asked it to query the wiki there. And you can see it's, yes, it is actually using the concepts computer use, and it's using an answer to scale using existing wiki knowledge, right? So it is synthesizing an answer to this query using the existing wiki knowledge, which is good. And it has added an entry to the log.md, so it keeps a track of whatever we are asking it to do. And the answer really is that to ensure proper scaling for Claude, particularly for computer use tasks, you should follow these technical best practices. Pre-downscale to API limits, recommended resolutions, coordinate mapping, all taken from the source data that we provided. In case you ask it something that is not there in the source file, right, it will go out, find that answer, and it will ask, do you want me to update this with, create an entry in your index there. So let's try something like that. And so I'll ask it something like Wiki query, can AI blackmail? Yeah, that's should be an interesting response. I'm hoping it does not find anything within the sources we provided, and it goes out, searches for it, and try. Yep. So it's asking, I have a publicity tool, okay, and it's asking me, do I need to do a research? So you can see it has actually recognized that this is not there. This thing is not there within our source directory. So I'll say, yes, you can go for this. I had configured the publicity MCP server there. Even if you do not have it, doesn't matter. I mean, it would find that answer. Yep, it took some time to do the research. I would say 2 to 3 minutes, and it has brought back some answers there, right? So it has created a new concept, as you can see, since this was not available in the wiki. It created a new concept page. The CSA alignment and risk, deceptive behaviors, blackmail and coercion. It's quite interesting, isn't it? In agentic misalignment simulations, models were found to select blackmail as a strategy to prevent shutdown or achieve goals when faced with high pressure dilemmas. This is concerning. Right? So you get the idea. You can use this to do your research, build this, and you can see it has updated the log and it has updated the index.md. Now if you look into your graph here, right? So this should have something to do with, let's see, blackmail. So this is the concept file, AI alignment and risk. I wonder where this is placed. Okay, anthropic index, AI alignment and risks. Cannot find it. Let's see whether this has it. Okay, in the index. Right, this is there in the index, so it definitely should be there somewhere. Oh, there it is. AI alignment and risks. For a minute, I was worried that it did not pick it up. And it has updated the index file that gets reflected in the graph. Let us have a quick look into some of the other vaults that I created. So here's a vault for AI, specifically that I created for AI. Nice little graph. You can see it has quite a few other documents related to AI alignment and things like that. Let's try to query it. So I've opened I've opened Gemini CLI within that vault, and let me just ask it something like, can AI, remember I just need to specifically tell it you need to query this wiki. Okay, so I'll say, can AI agents lie? Okay, and another interesting question. Let's see what it does. And obviously my spelling as usual is horrendous. It says agent, but it should be able to understand what I meant. Let's see, does it load the skill? Yep, it loaded the wiki index, read note. So it is going through the wiki, which is what we want it to do. Yes, and based on this, right? So it went through quite a few documents that it says the UN Secretary General's Scientific Advisory Board published a comprehensive brief as of March 2026, warning that AI systems are learning to deceive humans and other AI systems. The board emphasizes that AI deception is not just hallucination or an accidental error, but rather systematic, goal directed behavior that misleads others about what the AI knows, intends, or can do. Okay, and it then goes on to describe what constitutes as a lie and taxonomy, sabotage, things, so on, so forth. Right. Let me just go to a bigger vault that I have, which is my study documents. And you can immediately see this is a much bigger vault, right? So there's quite a few documents there. So whatever I wanted, this is my private document that I use for my study purposes, and I essentially use this to do a quick search, because when you have built up a huge amount of documents, it's quite difficult to remember where what things are. Okay. And with that, I think we are done with the demo. I really hope that you enjoyed today's session and that you learned something useful. I will be back with more useful sessions. So till we meet again, adios.